your baby home to meet your mama.
94, Ultra 94. The game is on TV 38.
Regular programming will not be seen at this time. Stay tuned next for Boston Red Sox baseball.
TV 38 Sports presents Boston Red Sox baseball. Brought to you in part by Bud Dry. Why ask why? Try Bud Dry for refreshment that's beyond question. By Citgo, home of high-quality gasolines with HTA 1000 super detergent. By your New England Toyota dealer. For Toyota value, it's the best deal going. By Diet Pepsi, the right one, baby. By your local participating McDonald's restaurant for good food and good value. And by True Value Hardware Stores. You can do it with True Value Hardware Stores. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to opening day of the 1991 Major League Baseball season. From the Sky Dome in Toronto, the Red Sox take on the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm Sean McDonough along with Bob Montgomery. We are delighted to have you with us for the start of another baseball season here on the TV 38 Red Sox Network. The Red Sox begin their defense of their American League East title against the team most people think will give them the best challenge in 1991, the Toronto Blue Jays. You look at the spring records, and most people say you can throw those out now that spring training is done. The Red Sox 22-11, one of the best records in all of baseball. The Blue Jays just 9-19, but they've said that really doesn't matter. And what a great pitching matchup today. Roger Clemens and Dave Stieb.
Sean, of all the opening day games scheduled around baseball today, and there'll be 7 others other than this one here in Toronto, this, I think, is the best pitching matchup with Clemens and Stieb. Both these pitchers so very tough on right-hand hitters. Most of the hitters, the power hitters we think of in the game today, are batting from the right side, and both these pitchers just dominated right-hand batters all last year. The Toronto Blue Jays do have a spot that they're a little bit worried about, which may favor Roger Clemens. The fact that they've lost Fred McGriff with his departure to San Diego may make it a little bit easier for Roger to work against a right-handed lineup, although there are a lot of switch hitters in there that'll go to the opposite side, but they're more the slap line drive kind of hitters, not power kind of hitters. Dave Stieb, on the other hand, will have to contend with Boggs and Greenwell, but both are very, very tough on right-hand batters.
And, of course, for most of the winter, we did not expect Roger Clemens to be able to make this start on opening day against the Toronto Blue Jays. Roger's 4th straight opening day start, but his appeal still has not been heard by Commissioner Dave Vinson. Along the same lines, baseball umpires have settled their dispute with Major League Baseball's owners. We will have replacement umpires today. The regular umpires will report to work tomorrow. The Red Sox and Blue Jays to open the 91 season will have the starting lineups from Toronto after this.
Satin all around you, one rich coat, year to year, always seems brand new. Satin walls, satin dolls, change your point of view. Why see the world in black and white when you can have an ultra satin view?
New Ultra Satin, the art of fine paint, exclusively at True Value Hardware Stores and Home Centers.
Why do fools fall in love? Why do opposites attract? Why do gentlemen prefer blondes? Why do women have all the answers? Why? Ask why?
Dry.
Cold filtered for smooth draft taste. Dry brewed for no aftertaste. Because if true love's not the answer, true refreshment must be.
Show the spirit. Show the pride. Bruins pride. The Boston Bruins face off with the Hartford Whalers in Game 4 of the Adams Division semifinals, Tuesday night at 7:30 on TV 38.
Today's starting lineups are brought to you by your New England Ford dealers, where quality dealers deliver low prices every day. For the Red Sox this afternoon, Wade Boggs leads off at third base. Jody Reed, the second baseman. Mike Greenwell in left field. Jack Clark is the DH batting cleanup. Ellis Burks in center field. Tom Bernansky, the right fielder, batting sixth. Carlos Quintana at first base. Tony Pena is doing the catching. And batting ninth, the shortstop, Tim Naring. It'll be Roger Clemens on the mound for the Red Sox. For the Toronto Blue Jays, Devon White leads off in center field. Roberto Alomar at second base. Kelly Gruber, the third baseman. The cleanup hitter is Joe Carter in right field. John Olerud at first base. Rance Mullenix is the DH. The catcher is Greg Myers batting seventh. Manuel Lee is the shortstop batting eighth. And the left fielder Mookie Wilson bats ninth. For the Blue Jays, it'll be Dave Stieb on the mound. As we mentioned, Major League Baseball has settled its dispute with its umpires, but we will have replacement umpires today because the regular umpires could not get here on time. John Higgins will work the plate. He's from Bristol, Connecticut. Has 13 years of umpiring.
His right hand against Bandit. Right-handers last year hit just .205 against Dave Stieb, and he owes a lot of that to the fact with a very pure slider.
Defensively behind Dave Stieb this afternoon, Mookie Wilson in left field, Devon White in center, Joe Carter in right for the new-look Toronto Blue Jays. Kelly Gruber, the Gold Glover at third baseman. Manuel Lee, he used to be Manny. He says he would prefer to be called Manuel, so we will oblige. Roberto Alomar, the second baseman. John Olerud at first, and Greg Myers doing the catching for Dave Stieb.
This team, the best defensive team in all of baseball last year, and Dave Stieb helps himself along. He is a converted outfielder, and he is quite adept at handling that area around the mound. He makes very good throws. He's very quick off the mound, and obviously he'll help his defense last year, which made just 86 errors all year long, and that was one of the reasons that the Blue Jays stayed right in the thick of things all year with the Red Sox.
The Red Sox have not defeated Dave Stieb in the city of Toronto since 1983. That, of course, includes time at Exhibition Stadium and here at the Sky Dome. Boston's last win over Stieb in Toronto, May 26th of '83, when Stieb and the Blue Jays beat Bob Stanley and the Red Sox 7-2. Wade Boggs to lead off. Boggs, Reed, and Greenwell in the top of the first. Wade coming off for him a subpar year in 1990 when he hit .302 with 6 homers and 63 RBI. Sellout crowd on hand, and here's the first pitch of the 1991 season. A fastball high for ball one. A base hit. Wade Boggs takes the second pitch of the 91 season right up the middle. And the first base runner of the 91 season for the Red Sox is Wade Boggs.
About 230 hits to go now. He doesn't set goals for himself because he says that puts a limit on me. But he hopes to be around that 225 to 30 hit range this season to get his average back up to more of a normal state. I'd point out, I think, Sean, so many times we're going to see Jack Clark coming to the plate with this combination of Boggs, Reed, and Greenwell hitting in front of him in the very first inning.
Jody Reed hit .289 last year with 5 home runs and 51 driven in. Takes the slider for strike one. Jody, like so many of the Red Sox, had an outstanding spring. He hit .316 in the Grapefruit League with a homer and 9 RBI. Boggs did not steal the base last year. He's held on by Olerud. Strike, borderline pitch, and I would imagine we'll see a few inquisitive looks like the one Jody Reed just gave home plate umpire John Higgin.
Not any more we may get from the regular umpires, though.
I watched the 2 games over the weekend from Washington, and the replacement umpires, I thought for the most part, did a good job. Off the end of the bat, still no balls and 2 strikes on Jody Reed.
Come on, Davey, finish him off.
Steve had a tough spring. He was 1-4 for the Blue Jays with a 4.66 earned run average. The Toronto staff as a whole really struggled. Some of that is attributable to the fact that their home park in Dunedin is a small ballpark where the wind really blows hard straight out. Blue Jays staff was not particularly sharp, and as a result, they were 9-19. 1-2 now on Reed.
Gaston said he wasn't too worried about it. One reason you can't look for too many breaking balls off Steve is because of the fastball and his ability to throw it up and in on you. He'll do that to keep you away from the lower part and the away part of the plate.
Keep you off of the slider.
5 Steve pitches, 3 of them are going to be breaking balls of some type. He'll also mix in a breaking ball and a straight change.
That's just inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Gaston, as you mentioned earlier, said he wasn't too worried about the 9-19 record. Well, maybe he wasn't too worried about it, but I'll tell you, that's not exactly the way you want to go into a championship season, having that many losses under your belt. It's nice to get that little winning flow going for you, at least the last week, maybe 10 days of the season.
Certainly the Red Sox experienced that throughout the spring, including yesterday when they came from behind to beat the Orioles in Washington. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Nobody out. Boggs at first. We're just underway this season.
Nothing else. The Blue Jays need some kind of a psychological uplift. They were beaten 10 out of 13 meetings last year between these 2 ball clubs, and when it came down to crunch time, that's when the Red Sox won the majority of those games. So they need some kind of an uplift from that standpoint.
Strikes out does Jody on the slider from Dave Stieb. First strikeout for Dave Stieb. 1 out at the top of the first, no score.
I mentioned you like to think that as a hitter you could look for a lot of breaking balls off Steve, and you can look for a lot of them, but he has such a good one, and oftentimes he can almost tell you it's coming and you're not going to get it. That's more of a let-up off-speed pitch there, something
And he took a bit off a red.
than the good hard slider. You can see how far out front Jody was.
Now Mike Greenwell. He turned it on over the latter half of last season. Hit .297 for the year with 14 homers and 73 runs batted in. He'll do much better than that in every category if spring training is any indication. He hit .295 in the spring with 5 homers and 22 runs batted in to lead the team. Down to first. Olerud had it pop out of his glove. He'll slap the tag on Greenwell for the 2nd out. On the play, Boggs moved into scoring position. He's at second with 2 outs in the first. John Olerud, now the first baseman, primarily the DH last year when they had Fred McGriff.
A tough thing to ask a young player to do. Olerud probably would have had this inning over. What he would have done, he would have taken this grounder that's just about right on top of the bag. He would have stepped on the bag, which he's going to do, and he's going to throw to second, yelling tag him all at the same time. So they would have had the 3-4 double play, but the ball comes popping out, and the Red Sox wind up with a guy in scoring position and trouble coming to the plate.
In the person of Jack Clark in his first regular season at bat in the Boston uniform. He hit .314 this spring with 5 homers to tie Greenwell for the club lead. Jack drove in 13. As usual, he showed an excellent eye at the plate as he looked at strike 1. Clark walked 22 times this spring. That's 5 times more than any other player in Major League Baseball.
Jack Clark has probably seen what
He is going to see a steady diet of for about 162 games.
he is going to see. A lot of breaking balls. He's going to see them from various deliveries, and he's going to see various speeds on the breaking ball. both of those first pitches to him. Very hard-breaking balls from Stieb.
The 0-2 pitch. Well outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 outs. Top of the first. No score.
Overheard Jack Clark talking to a Toronto writer prior to the game. He says, I've never been a good opening day player. He says, as a matter of fact, I don't even like opening days. I wish they'd start the season about 3 weeks into it and let me forget about it. He said, I always wanted to be one of those guys that had 2 home runs and 6 RBIs on opening day, but I never have been.
This is Jack's first appearance ever in the Sky Dome. That's a bullet just foul past third.
How do you figure? Here's a guy who took 2 breaking balls. You miss with a breaking ball you're trying to get him fish for, and you come right back with a ball that's right in the heart of the strike zone.
Perhaps the element of surprise was what
you don't
Steve
surprise this
for.
guy with fastballs.
That's right.
You might get a lot of guys with looking at fastballs, but Jack Clark's not one of them, I don't think.
The outfield straight away and very deep for Clark, particularly Wilson in left field. See how deep the Blue Jay outfield is. Toronto thinks this is one area in which it has really improved its club in outfield defense with the addition of Devon White, a former Gold Glove winner in center. Fouled back. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
White had 9 errors last year while playing center field for the California Angels with 11 assists. Joe Carter 13 assists for San Diego. Carter made just 5 errors in the Padre outfield. Mookie Wilson spent most of his time in center last year for the Blue Jays. He committed 3 errors and he had 5 outfield assists. It's the errors that didn't go up on the board when George Bell was in left field that hurt quite often.
Check swing and a ball low and away. Clark has battled back from 0-2 to 3-2, and now it's Dave Stieb's turn to glare in a bit at home plate umpire John Higgins.
Well, if you have to figure now, if you're the hitter, Clark's got first base open. Does Stieb want to start the count over with me? You can
over with a new batter.
You can probably say, yeah, he's trying to get him out with a breaking ball. Can you look for a breaking ball, though, if you're the hitter in this point? Clark, probably not, because if you did, you probably would have hit 1 or 2 of the others up earlier in the count. This will be a pitcher's pitch all the way, I feel, right here.
The 3-2. Tomahawk down to third. Kelly Gruber. And that's all for the Red Sox in the first. They leave the runner in scoring position after half an inning. The Red Sox nothing. And the Toronto Blue Jays are coming up.
Eastern Clothing of Watertown carries the finest selection of Sansabelt clothing in the Boston area. To see our complete line of Sansabelt for dress or for golf, come to Eastern Clothing.
Let's say you're hungry, but you want to stay under 300 calories. You could try gumdrops, all 9 of them. Or try McDonald's new grilled chicken breast sandwich. A grilled chicken breast fillet, ripe tomato, crisp lettuce, and your choice of barbecue sauce, honey mustard, or light mayo on a wheat bun. So when you're hungry but 300 calories is your limit, you could sink your teeth into watercress, several pounds. Or try McDonald's new grilled chicken breast sandwich for a limited time.
Our free exhaust inspection covers up to 28 items. Many no bigger than this. Because at Meineke Discount Mufflers, nothing is unimportant.
If you're not recycling, you're throwing it all away.
We're back in Toronto, and we move to the bottom of the first inning, no score. And for the Red Sox, making his 4th straight opening day start, it's Roger Clemens.
Speaking of coming off good years,
Roger Clemens led all major
league pitchers last year with an earned average of 1.93 to go along with a record of 21-6. Very good against
the Toronto Blue Jays last
year. As a matter of fact, he's pretty well dominated them over his career. And it's a ballpark in which he's pitched well in the past. He pitched one of the toughest ball games I've ever seen a pitcher work last year on a Saturday afternoon and part of a 3 straight shutout win over the Toronto Blue Jays when the Red Sox took 3 out of 4 from Toronto at
a real
need the winning time for the Red Sox.
And defensively behind Roger this afternoon, Mike Greenwell in left, Ellis Burks in center, Tom Bernansky in right. Wade Boggs, the third baseman. Tim Naring gets the opening day start at shortstop. Joey Reed at second, Carlos Quintana at first, and Tony Pena is back at the plate. The Sky Dome is sold out. The Blue Jays have already sold out 21 home games. They've sold 26,000 season tickets. Last year, they drew 3,885,000 fans at home, and there's some talk that they could reach 4 million in home attendance, but talking with Howard Starkman, the public relations director of the Blue Jays, he said they would really have to squeeze folks in throughout the year to reach 4 million, and that 3.9 million is probably a more realistic goal.
They've added about 700 more seats here, too, by changing some camera positions around and stuffing in some more seats.
Here's Devon White in his first regular season game for the Toronto Blue Jays. He was the Jays' leading hitter this spring. Strike one. He's hoping that his new beginning in Toronto will be just that, as his numbers declined in each of his last 4 years in California. Hit 263 for the Angels in 1987, and it's been downhill ever since, all the way down to last year when he hit 217 and actually spent 3 weeks at AAA Edmonton in July.
The only number that didn't collide with the strikeouts, and that's what they're going to have to be a little concerned about. Cito Gaston is having this man operate as a leadoff batter.
The 0-2 pitch. Clemens tried to start the season with a 3-pitch strikeout, and he just missed with a fastball.
Devon White, one of 4 switch hitters that are in the Blue Jay lineup this afternoon. A couple of other left-handers in there with it.
Strike 3. White's gone on 4 pitches. And Roger Clemens begins the 91 season just as you would expect, with a strikeout.
His last spring training outing was just short of marvelous. He worked 5 innings, struck out 6, gave up just 1 hit to Pittsburgh, and there's the split-fingered fastball doing the honors for the strikeout, the first of the 91 season.
Now Roberto Alomar also making his Toronto debut this afternoon. Fastball for a strike. Alomar, of course, part of the big trade in the offseason between the Blue Jays and the San Diego Padres. He came over along with Joe Carter. Tony Fernandez and Fred McGriff went to San Diego. Berto a little late trying to catch up to that Clemens fastball. 0-2.
His first 2 pitches may be as hard as I've seen Clemens throw in a long, long time.
Pulled to Jody Reed. 2 quick outs in the Toronto first. No score in the ball game. Toronto made the changes. They think they've improved their team, but more than anything, it was a team that needed a change in chemistry, although Cito Gaston says he thinks chemistry is overrated. Certainly, the Blue Jays had that same nucleus with Bell and Fernandez and McGriff for a number of years and really didn't accomplish as much as they were expected to. Now, this is a man being counted upon to lead the team. Kelly Gruber, an all-star last year for the 2nd time. What a great 1990 he had. 274 average. 31 homers and 118 runs driven in. That was 2nd in the league behind Cecil Fielder. He runs well. This will be a tough play. Boggs has no play. An infield hit for Kelly Gruber.
Big high chopper. Gruber not having any desire to get behind in the count to Clemens. Let's get on top that first high fastball and big high bounder. Boggs will squeeze it into the chest and just hold on to it. Not much of a chance.
You hit it right on the head. Runs well.
Runs so well, as a matter of fact. He could, I would think he'd be considered a stolen base threat now. Just 14 stolen bases last year, but ball club that I think will try to do a lot of things in the running department in the 91 season.
Gruber at first with 2 outs. In the bottom of the first, no score, Joe Carter. Another of the Blue Jays making his Toronto debut this afternoon. He sends that one into the Sky Dome seats along first base.
He's got on his Johnny Unitas shoes too, doesn't he?
A growing trend, perhaps.
Boggs was lacing
up a pair of them in front of his locker today, and I said, "You're not."
And he just smiled and kept on lacing them, but he doesn't have them on.
Well, he says that the turf sometimes bothers his knees and ankles. Line to right, sinking fast. Brunansky has to back up on it and just did leap enough to prevent it from going over his head. Gruber rounded third and was stopped there, and the Blue Jays with back-to-back base hits from Gruber and Carter are threatening with 2 outs in the first.
Nothing new about Carter getting a base hit against Red Sox pitching. It is new when he keeps it in the ballpark, though. He'll go to the opposite field with a Clemens fastball. And Brunansky, with his height, is helped here. He reaches as high as he can go to prevent that ball from bouncing over his head and prevents a Toronto run as Gruber winds up at third.
And that brings up John Olerud. He looks at strike one. Olerud, the youngest member of the Toronto Blue Jays. He's 22 years old. And he's in the hole, no balls and 2 strikes. John started 101 games for the Jays last year, but 86 of those were as a designated hitter. He only started 15 times at first base. He had 265 last year with 14 home runs, and he drove in 48. A ball and 2 strikes. Gruber, the runner at third. And Carter at first with 2 outs in the bottom of the first, no score. Inside, 2-2.
Pretty tough to ask a 21-year-old rookie to step into a designated hitting role. Blue Jays did do that last year with Olerud, of course, and he handled it pretty well, I thought. A couple of series he played against the Red Sox. The Red Sox were a bit fortunate, and they caught this young man somewhat flat at the plate. He didn't swing well against them at all those last 2 series of the year.
And he strikes out. 2 strikeouts in the inning. The Blue Jays strand 2, and after 1 in Toronto, there is no score.
If it's out there, it's in here. The 9X Yellow Pages. Why would anyone need another?
Sox player hits a home run during a TV 38 televised game. You can win 2 tickets to a Red Sox home game and a case of 2-liter bottles of Pepsi. To winners, send your postcards to TV 38 Pepsi Home Run Sweepstakes, Post Office Box 500, Boston, Massachusetts, 02135. The start before the last one that Clemens had in spring training, the split-fingered fastball, which he used for the strikeout there, was clocked at 87 and 88 miles per hour. Now, most guys who use the split-fingered fastball are looking for ground balls, not strikeouts. Not the case with Clemens, of course.
Most of them throw it about 10 miles an hour softer.
To act much more like a changeup, and actually that is a changeup for Clemens because he's usually around 92 or 93 with his Hummer.
Ellis Burks hit .296 last year with 21 homers, and he drove in 89. He's behind the count here, 0-2. Burks had a great spring. .347 was his average in the group. Clark looked like he swung at ball 4 on the 3-2 pitch. Do you think because we do have replacement umpires here today, they might be reluctant with 2 strikes on them to watch a close pitch go by?
I think it's more to do with opening day, and you're a bit anxious. You're trying to get that first base hit, and always home run hitters as you start a season, they're looking for that first home run. I think it's just a little bit of anxiety more so than they're worried about the umpires.
1-1 pitch. Slapped right at Alomar. 2 outs. We're in the second. There is no score here at the Sky Dome in Toronto.
Matter of fact, if you ask most players, they probably don't even know who umpired. I mean, you'll find a battery that'll know who the plate umpire is, but I think for the most part, overall, who's working the game today as an umpire? Well, they don't know.
Well, that was very much questioned right up until about an hour before game time when you spoke with different people on both sides on the field before the game. Some people said they had heard the regular umpires would be here in time for the game. Others said definitely not. It would be the replacements. And indeed, it is replacement umpires working the game today. Carlos Quintana sends it to right. Joe Carter puts it away to end the inning. 1-2-3 go the Red Sox in the second after an inning and a half. No score.
Times have changed. So have cars. Fortunately, Citgo has developed this new gasoline with HTA 1000 super detergent. It actually keeps today's cars running like new. So to take care of your car, fill it up with Citgo.
For a limited time, you can receive $10 worth of coupons on your next 3 fill-ups with an approved Citgo Plus credit card application. Take one and get 10 at Citgo.
Why do fools fall in love? Why do opposites attract? Why do gentlemen prefer blondes? Why do women have all the answers? Why? Ask why.
Dry.
Cold filtered for smooth draft taste. Dry brewed for no aftertaste. Because if true love's not the answer, true refreshment must be.
Before you know it, the Red Sox will be swinging into action, so don't miss out. Get your tickets now and be a part of all the thrills and excitement when the 91 season gets underway. For information, call 267-8661 or call the direct charge line 267-1700. And for group sales, call 262-1915. Tickets can also be purchased at the Red Sox ticket office at 4 Yawkey Way or at the Boston Red Sox clubhouse shop at the Burlington Mall. So get your tickets now and be a part of Fenway Fun in 91. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Boston Red Sox and TV 38. It's intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the expressed written consent of the Boston Red Sox and TV 38 is prohibited. Joe Morgan, beginning his 3rd full season at the helm of the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox 217 and 184 under Morgan. And there's Cito Gaston, 163 and 125 are the Toronto Blue Jays. So he begins his 2nd full season. That's their record under Gaston in his year and a half, almost 2 full years. He took over in May for Jimmy Williams.
And 3 division titles between those 2 managers, Morgan, the last 2 out of 3 years. I think it's a shame. The scheduler could have done a little better job, in my estimation, of having these 2 ball clubs square off so early in the season.
Brance Mullenix up there with a count of 1-1.
Of course, I know the schedule is made up probably 2, sometimes even 3 years in advance, maybe more. But it seems to me they could have done some work on it to adjust it this situation. Blue Jays and the Red Sox by far the 2 best teams in the American League East, and you kind of think that maybe there's an outside chance for Baltimore, but then they've had to disable their ace, Ben McDonald, with some arm problems. So these 2 teams look like the 2 teams to go at each other in the American League East. Unfortunately, the Toronto Blue Jays are the swing team this year. They do not play in division after the middle of September, actually just before the middle of September.
They're finished with the American League East on September 8th. They are finished with the Red Sox on August 12th. That will be the last meeting between these 2 teams this year.
Well, that late season highlight stuff like we had last year.
That was fun.
Yes, sir.
That's the way it should be. 2-2 pitch in the hole, base hit. So the Jays have come out swinging against Roger Clemens. A leadoff single in the second for Rance Mullenix, and that is Toronto's 3rd hit.
So far, the Blue Jay batters that have faced Clemens and should be doing something against Boston have done it. Gruber, Carter, always a thorn in the Red Sox side, and Rance Mulliniks seemingly has hit 400 in his career against the Red Sox. He's actually hit 293 against them, 9 homers and 61 RBIs. So many of his hits, though, have come late innings against them over the years as a pinch hitter and have often played in the decision or the final decision in the outcome of the game.
Greg Myers, the batter, takes a breaking ball a bit high for ball 1. He was involved in what was basically a platoon behind the plate last year for the Blue Jays with Pat Borders. Though it is expected this year that Borders will see some time more often against right-handed pitchers, but on opening day against somebody like Roger Clemens, that was not an ideal day to put the right-handed swinging Borders in there. No score as Toronto bats in the bottom of the second. Mulliniks was running with the pitch, and Myers pulled it foul. Myers appeared in 87 games last year. He started 79. So it was just about half and half last year between Myers and Borders. Very high in shallow left. Greenwell the catch for the first out of the inning.
Sean, it's a good thing we have the dome here in Toronto today. We may, now just may, we don't know what's going on outside now, but possibly we would not be playing now with there not a roof here.
It was raining off and on this morning. We have no way of knowing what it is doing outside at the moment, but it was raining off and on this morning after a beautiful day here yesterday. If it was opening day yesterday, the roof would have been open just as it was in Boston, a warm and sunny day. It was in the mid-80s or in the mid-20s, depending on which temperature reading you care to go by here in Toronto yesterday. Open or closed, this is a fabulous place.
Isn't it indeed?
Now Manuel Lee. He was the Blue Jays second baseman last year. His natural position is a shortstop, and he has moved to shortstop with the trade of Tony Fernandez and the arrival of one of the best second basemen in all of baseball, Roberto Alomar. But Manny Lee is one of the conservative. Pardon me. As soon as I said that, I knew I was wrong. My apologies to Manuel. Manuel said that at home he has always been called Manuel in San Pedro de Macorís in the Dominican Republic, but when he signed with the Mets, people started calling him Manny, and he didn't speak English well enough to correct them. Now he has decided that he would prefer to be called Manuel, and Blue Jays have gone along with that. Their public address announcements on their radio and television. That could be a tough play for Greenwell. Toward the line. It's a fair ball and up into the seats. Slicing fly ball right down the line. It was fair by just a couple of feet. Mulliniks to third on the ground rule double. Manuel Lee with the first extra base hit of this ball game.
Red Sox catch a break here in that the ball bounces into the seats. They do not catch a break because the ball is right at that corner where it juts out. Greenwell doesn't have time to get himself circled so that he can run up along that line and make the play. Mulliniks taking his lead. He knows that it's going to be a difficult catch for Greenwell if he can handle it. Once he sees the ball bouncing and up in the stands, he can just trot on over to third with the ground rule double of Manuel Lee.
So runners at second and third with one out. And here is Mookie Wilson. With much of last year was the leadoff hitter for Toronto, now batting ninth. 4 hits already for the Blue Jays. In an inning and a third for Roger Clemens. That's ball 1 high. line again. Again, a long run for Greenwell. He makes the catch. Mullenix coming on to score, and the Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead.
Mookie Wilson, an instant favorite when he came over to the Blue Jays from the New York Mets. And he's responsible for the first 1991 run for the Blue Jays.
Now the top of the order, and Devon White up for the second time in as many innings. He struck out starting the Toronto first. He swings through that one. Foul tipped it into the mid of Pena for strike one. Blue Jays were working with White in spring training on making more regular contact, and it seemed to have worked. He hit .408 to lead the Blue Jays this spring. Tim Naring handles his first chance easily. That's all for Toronto in the second. The Blue Jays get a run on 2 hits, and after an inning and a half, they lead Roger Clemens and the Red Sox 1-0.
There's a level of service with which you're already quite familiar. Only now you can enjoy it at 35,000 feet. Delta's person-to-person service to over 270 cities worldwide. At Delta, we love to fly, and it shows.
Consider this. For only $89.99, the 1991 4-door Subaru Loyale sedan with 5-speed transmission, automatic slightly more, air conditioning, AM/FM stereo, power windows, and power door locks, power steering, dual power mirrors, and driver's side lumbar support. All for $89.99. Yes, you heard it right, $89.99. Car for car, dollar for dollar, America's best buy. See your New England Subaru dealer now.
This is your brain on other stations. This is your brain on TV 38. Now, aren't you glad you're here and not there?
Now it's time for Around the Horn, brought to you by your New England Toyota dealer for Toyota Value. It's the best deal going. And Around the Horn on opening day, umpires reached a tentative agreement on a new contract with Major League Baseball owners. And we're going to try to work as many games today if the umpires could arrive on time. We have replacement umpires here. And Ricky Henderson of the Oakland Athletics needs 2 stolen bases to tie Lou Brock's all-time stolen base record. Minnesota at Oakland tomorrow in the season opener for Oakland.
Sean, I have an idea or feeling that that may be the last long record we see broken in this game. And I say by long record, I mean record other than a seasonal record. Players don't play long enough anymore to establish the kind of records that Henderson is going through now. As a matter of fact, he was quoted in an article in Baseball Digest. He says he's not going to stop at just breaking it. He wants to get the number up to around 1,400 or 1,500 stolen bases. He's only 32 years old. He feels he could play another 10 years easily. So
well, he's at 936 now.
2 to tie
and
3 to make it 939 to break the record of Lou Brock.
We move to the top of the third. The Red Sox trail 1-0. They've been out hit 4-1. Tony Pena, the batter. In his first year with the Red Sox last season, Pena hit .263. With 7 home runs, and he drove in 56. He'll be followed by Tim Naring and Wade Boggs against Dave Stieb, who has retired 6 in a row since giving up a leadoff single to start the game to Boggs. Stieb last year became the first Blue Jay pitcher ever to win 18 games in a season. Stieb had won 17 games 3 times previously. Well hit past the dive of Gruber into the left field corner. Fielded by Wilson. Pena on his way to second. He'll get there standing with a double.
This was definitely a strong suit of the Red Sox last year, the 2-base hit. Of course, Jody Reed and a tie with George Brett for the outright lead in the American League in doubles. The Red Sox are pretty well known as a doubling ball club, and that's just got standard routine give them double all the way written on it. Hey, when you take into consideration Pena played most of the year with a very, very sore thumb, his .263 average last year was a pretty good one.
He's been bothered a bit lately by a sore right forearm. Injury suffered while swinging a weighted bat in the on-deck circle in spring training about 10 days ago. Every now and then you'll see him flexing that right arm. Tim Naring squared to bunt and took a ball inside. It was bobbled by Myers. No chance for Pena to move up. Tony's at second with nobody out in the third. 1-0 Toronto. Naring earned the Red Sox starting shortstop job with a fine spring. He hit .322. And for the most part was solid in the field. Blue Jays creeping in at the corners. Breaking ball way outside, 2-0.
Joe Morgan perhaps feeling that it will be a low-scoring ball game with a combination of Clemens and Stieb in there with the Red Sox trailing 1-0. Give himself an opportunity to move the runner over third, less than 2 outs, couple of chances to drive it in without the benefit of a hit maybe.
Naring popped the bunt foul over the Red Sox dugout along the first base line. 2 balls and 1 strike. A good bunt. Stieb makes the play himself. It's a sacrifice for Naring. Play goes 1 unassisted. And Pena is now at third with 1 out. He's the tying run at third base here in the 3rd inning.
Nice job by the 9th spot hitter. I don't know how many times Naring is going to be asked to do this, but he will not perform it any better than he did this particular one. Not an easy job to bunt guys along on AstroTurf. Much easier, of course, on the natural surface. It's a play that's appreciated a great deal by the guys that sit along that dugout bench. Doesn't look like much of the people in the seats, but down on that field, it's really appreciated.
Now Boggs, who got his season off on the right foot with a solid single through the middle as the first hitter of the ball game. The infield is in for Toronto.
You know, I would almost bet if you'd asked me before Naring, if he gets the job done, where the infield would have been playing, I would not have guessed in, because you increase Boggs' hitting area by moving the infield in so much. Gaston also figuring this is going to be a very low-scoring game.
The two managers managing this inning like it's the 160th game of the year.
There's another way to look at this, too. You may be saying to Steve, well, I'm going to work around Boggs and see if I'm getting the swing at a bad ball, get the right-hander on right-hander and see if we play for the double play. But Boggs didn't swing at too many bad pitches. And you're really opening yourself up for making a mistake to a Boggs kind of hitter by having the infield in. And then if he does get a mistake to hit, you've increased his chances of putting it in play and driving a run in.
3-0 on Wade. And Steve basically pitched around him.
You know what's funny? That's not called, what's unusual, I should say, that's not called an intentional base on balls. And Steve didn't have one all last year. Maybe he is so good with his control, they figure if that situation arises, they just have him make that kind of move.
So now runners at first and third with 1 out. In the top of the 3rd. Toronto leads 1-0. Jody Reed struck out swinging his first time up. The infield now back at double play depth. The outfield more or less straight away with the exception of Wilson in left, who plays the line. 5 straight balls thrown by Stieb.
I don't know how you get hitters to change their
thinking mode at the plate.
The Red Sox in these situations need to think more along the fly ball area. Think more up the middle as a hitter to stay out of those ground ball double plays. 174 of them the Red Sox bounced into last year, which was a record in the American League. And of course, that always helps them with their left on base total when it comes down to the end of the year. Doesn't help them in the right way
either, I might add.
6 straight balls thrown by Stieb. 2-0 on Jody, who did successfully squeeze 4 times last year. That's 3-0. With Mike Greenwell on deck waiting to face Stieb. Dick Berardino in his first regular season game as the Red Sox third base coach. He handled those chores during the spring very nicely. And again this year, Al Bumbry is the Red Sox first base coach. There's the Baltimore Oriole Hall of Famer. And of course, the Red Sox newest member of the coaching staff, bullpen coach John McLaren, was the third base coach for the Toronto Blue Jays last year. Reed taking all the way on 3-0, and it's 3 balls and a strike. Tony Pena started this inning with a double. He's now at third with 1 out, and Boggs is at first. We're in the top of the third. Toronto leads 1-0. 4 hits for the Blue Jays and 2 for the Red Sox. Boggs running with the pitch. Reed fouled it off.
Kind of movement on that Stieb fastball so far in this ball game. We'll have a few hitters bouncing that ball off their foot foul. Every fastball that Stieb has thrown the Reed in this sequence has been a hard running fastball. Been outdoors in old exhibition stadium on a normal opening day when it's about 35 or 36 degrees. Reed may not have gotten up from that for quite some time.
So now the count is full. Does the old adage hold true? If he was running on 3-1, he might be running on 3-2.
Sure.
I expect to see Joe Morgan do a lot more of that last year.
Just because of that number I gave you a moment ago, 174 grounded into double plays. He's got to stop some of that some way, and that's one way you can do it.
Boggs does indeed run. It's ball 4, high and tight. Back-to-back walks thrown by Stieb. The first 2 walks thrown by either pitcher. That loads the bases.
Jody spent a lot of time on the ground in this particular at bat for different reasons. One, the foul ball off his foot, and now Stieb just almost throws that ball underhand. You could see his wrist underneath the fastball, which had it run up and in, almost into the flap of Jody Reed. He's out of the way.
Ball 4 and a beauty.
Now Mike Greenwell with the bases loaded and 1 out. 1-0 Toronto. Greenwell struggled in this role last year. He had .238 with the bases loaded. He took ball 1 low and inside. Mike had a team high 23 plate appearances with the bases loaded for the Red Sox last year and was 5 for 21.
You know why he struggled a lot in that role? Because he got himself out a lot in those situations. So very anxious, he'd often swing at the first pitch.
Pulls that foul past first. 1 ball and 1 strike.
One thing he said this spring he really wanted to concentrate on. He felt that with the makeup of the Red Sox lineup now, he was going to have more opportunities to bat with runners on base, especially if Boggs or Reed has any kind of the near year that they should be having. And he said he really wanted to oftentimes just hit with a strike on it. He's talked to himself constantly all spring and all winter long about that very thing. He's so anxious that oftentimes he would only see maybe 2 pitches batting in this situation. It's a very hard thing to get out of, being too anxious as a hitter. You always feel like you don't want to get in the hole, but then again, you don't give the pitcher the credit. He can't get you out on 1 pitch if you don't swing.
slashing swing at the breaking ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
If every left-hand hitter was pitched with this particular pitch right here, they'd all hit nothing. Left-hand batters cannot hit this pitch from a right-hand pitcher. That slider working down and in just below knee level. They can't reach it. They can't. There's nothing they can do with their swing to get to it.
Line drive and a base hit into right field. Pena scores. Boggs will be held at third. The game is tied at 1, and the bases remain loaded with 1 out. Ball was hit so sharply right at Carter that Boggs had to be held at third. Pena scored, and Mike Greenwell has the Red Sox first RBI of the season.
Notice the difference in the location. Now it's the same pitch, but rather than being down and in, it's down and in the middle of the plate. Boy, does Greenwell just wear it out to right field so hard. As you mentioned, Sean, only one runner can move. Just 90-foot advancement by the Red Sox runners. Tie game, though.
Greenwell came into this ball game a .380 lifetime hitter against Dave Stieb, and he's improved upon that with his 1 for 2. Jack Clark bounced to third his first time up. Bases still loaded with 1 out. Strike 1 with the breaking ball from Stieb.
Can a hitter set up pitchers? I don't know if Clark can do that. That's the 3rd time now he has seen that pitch and really has bailed out early. Stieb doesn't want to throw that breaking ball there. It's just winding up there, and so far has gotten away with it. Oop, he's still giving a lot of ground. I don't know if they throw, in fact, more breaking balls in the American League than they do in the National League. Clark spent a little time in the American League with the Yankees previously, and I'm sure he saw a lot of breaking balls then. That's about all he's seen from Stieb so far today.
Jack pulled it foul. Let's pause for station identification along the TV 38 Red Sox network.
This is TV 38, WSBK TV, Boston.
With Bob Montgomery, Sean McDonough, our producer director is John Wilson. We're at the Sky Dome in Toronto for opening day 1991. And the Red Sox and Blue Jays are tied at 1. Toronto still out hitting the Red Sox 4-3. A deep drive to left. That is way out of here. Into the second deck in left field. A grand slam for Jack Clark.
I don't know how you figured. He gets the fastball again right in the heart of the strike zone, as if to say, here, hit it, Jack. Boy, did he ever hit it. Maybe this will be one of those opening days that will have the 6 RBIs. He's got half the home runs he was looking for. Boy, oh boy.
His first home run as a member of the Red Sox is a grand slam, a tremendous line shot that was out of the ballpark in no time. And the Red Sox have a 5-1 lead. And what a great way to start our TV 38 Pepsi home run sweepstakes. Pat Mulrennan of East Sandwich, Massachusetts, is the winner in the TV 38 Pepsi home run sweepstakes.
What we're going to give them? We're going to give them something extra. They can't get just the 2 cases of leader.
Well, you're the commissioner of the Pepsi home run sweepstakes.
We'll work on that in between innings here, but that's big time pride. Might give him the truck.
And now, with an off-speed pitch, Stieb hit Burks. Ellis looking out at Stieb and now saying something. I'm not sure if Stieb wanted to hit somebody right after giving up the home run. He would have hit him with an off-speed pitch. But it has been a rough inning, and here comes Galen Cisco, the pitching coach. Stieb still staring over at Ellis Burks. And a double, a couple of walks, a single, and the grand slam, now a hit batsman. Tom Bernansky will come up next to be the 8th batter of the inning, and there is still just 1 out.
Check out where this fastball is here to Jack Clark. I mean, that is right. That's like a batting practice area you want to throw it into. And Stieb is trying to get out of this bases loaded situation. If you remember the first time up, he had in 3 breaking balls and a fastball that Clark fouled off. Boy, look at that contact and extension supreme there. All of a sudden, he's got him a ball and 2 strikes, and it's right in the heart of the strike zone once again. Ouch.
Into the second deck and left, and it was out of here in a hurry. 5-1 Red Sox. They've scored 5 times here in the third. They have Burks at first, still just 1 out. Tom Brunansky, the 8th hitter of the inning. Burks draws a throw. Close play. Now Ellis is out. Burks picked off by Stieb.
I hate to see this for a couple reasons. One, Ellis Burks the last couple of years has been timid about stealing bases for fear of this very thing here, getting picked off. And he is out there. The tag applied to the wrist just before the hand gets the bag. I hope that won't slow Ellis's.
There's a pop-up from Brunansky. It'll be Alomar in shallow right, ending the inning. The Red Sox get 5 runs, highlighted by the grand slam from Jack Clark. And after 2.5 innings in Toronto, it's the Red Sox 5 and the Blue Jays 1.
In my considered opinion, it's okay to enjoy mowing one's lawn. Oh, for heaven's sake. In fact, my snapper significantly enhances my sense of well-being. Of course, my snapper dealer was kind enough to offer a 14-day money-back test drive. The good man really stands behind his machines. So if you're looking for emotional satisfaction, my advice to you is seek professional help. That's right. See your snapper dealer. Anything less just won't cut it.
Why do fools fall in love? Why do opposites attract? Why do gentlemen prefer blondes? Why do women have all the answers? Why? Ask why?
Try the dry.
Cold filtered for smooth draft taste. Dry brewed for no aftertaste. Because if true love's not the answer, true refreshment must be.
Hi, I'm Barry Steinberg, owner of Direct Tire Sales in Watertown. Our experience and facilities can handle any brake or alignment problem, and I guarantee it. At Direct Tire, we've got 7 free loaner cars, so you're never inconvenienced. We're known for our honest advice and competitive price. Direct Tire also has a Hunter Brake Analyzer. We'll analyze your brake system for free in only 90 seconds. Come into Direct Tire, Galen Street, Watertown. At Direct Tire Sales, we'll fix it so it breaks.
The Boston Red Sox and Kinner bring you starting lineup figuring day. Be at Fenway Park on Tuesday, April 16th, when the first 15,000 fans, age 15 and under, receive a Red Sox starting lineup figurine, compliments of Kinner. Order your tickets today. Phone the Red Sox ticket office at 617-267-1700. Not much doubt about Steve being a bit upset with himself after getting that pitch right in the heart of the strike zone to Jack Clark. Got him out of a tough situation, though. It cleaned the bases up as Clark hammered the fastball for a grand slam. There you are, Roger. Hold him right there.
Clemens working with a 5-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the third. Batters 2, 3, and 4 coming up for the Jays, Alomar, Gruber, and Carter. Clemens has struggled through the first 2 innings. He's allowed 2 hits in each of the first 2. He is the first out of the third on 1 pitch. Alomar now 0 for 2. He's twice grounded out to second.
Oh, it's kind of strange, too, in that inning, Sean. Joe Morgan really playing for the 1 run, and often when you play for the 1 run, that's all you get is 1 run. Instead, he worked around Boggs, and they walked Jody unintentionally, intentionally, and wound up with a busting inning out of it rather than just the 1.
Kelly Gruber swings to the first pitch, and he popped it fouled and out of play, first base side. Gruber had an infield hit back in the first, a chopper down to third. Stayed in the air long enough to allow Kelly to beat it out. We talked earlier about Ellis Burks and how Joe Morgan feels it's possible that this might be the year he has that monster year that some people have been predicting for him. Kelly Gruber had that kind of year last year. And he sends it to Burks in center. 2 outs.
Joe Carter addition to this lineup may well help Kelly Gruber. a bit too. A little hard to say. You always talk about hitters having somebody behind them to protect them, and I always felt that Joe Carter could protect just about any hitter, maybe 2 or 3 hitters. But a lot of times that's an overused statement about protecting hitters in front of you. If hitters are selective with pitchers and pitches, what difference does it make what kind of protection you get from it? If you don't swing at bad balls, you're not in trouble anyway.
1 strike on Carter. He singled to right back in the first. 5-1 Red Sox with 1 out and the base is empty in the home half of the 3rd. Burks drifting back to the edge of the warning track to make the catch. The Blue Jays go in order for the first time in the game in the 3rd, and after 3, it's the Red Sox 5 and the Blue Jays 1.
This is the deadline. This is the goal. This is the plan. Through April 10th, your New England Ford dealer will do whatever it takes to offer you his best price on a new Ford Escort. Plus, you can save over $1,700 in finance charges with 3.9% financing for 48 months on the totally redesigned 1991 Ford Escort. 3.9% for 48 months could also lower your monthly payment. So remember the goal, remember the plan, but most of all, remember the deadline.
Come in, Condor.
1, 2, testing.
The green monkey walks alone in the sky.
That's your signal.
Sir, 2 caffeine-free Diet Pepsis.
Sorry, we've just run out. Order something else.
But I don't want anything else.
Just follow orders.
Look, I want great taste, but I don't want caffeine. Sir. I want a caffeine-free Diet Pepsi.
Listen.
No, you listen. They do not all taste the same. I want caffeine-free
amateurs.
You got the right one, baby.
The Boston Red Sox and Kenner have the starting lineup that you've been waiting for. Come and see the Red Sox battle the Kansas City Royals on Tuesday, April the 16th at 1:05. And the first 15,000 fans aged 15 and under will receive a Red Sox figurine, compliments of Kenner's starting lineup. Purchase tickets with your Visa or MasterCard, phone 267-1700. Stop by the Red Sox ticket office or the Red Sox clubhouse shop in the Burlington Mall. So be a part of the Fenway Fun in '91. Order your tickets today.
Fans be at Fenway Park on Wednesday and Thursday, April 17th and 18th, when the Red Sox challenge the Kansas City Royals. Each day, be among the first 15,000 fans aged 15 and younger, and you will receive a Donruss Baseball card book, compliments of Leaf Incorporated. Order your tickets today. Phone the Red Sox ticket office at 617-267-1700.
Well, the commissioner of the TV 38 Pepsi Home Run Sweepstakes, Bob Montgomery, has handed down a ruling in a bit more hasty fashion than Dr. Bobby Brown ruled on the Roger Clemens matter, and Monty has decided that Pat Mulrennan will receive 4 cases.
Case of base.
Of 2-liter bottles of Pepsi for Jack Clark's grand slam last inning. Carlos Quintana has it caught on the second try by Manuel Lee. Lee knocked the line drive straight up in the air and then caught it as it fell down into his glove. 1 pitch and 1 out in the top of the 4th.
2 at-bats now for Carlos, and he has hit rockets both times. To right field his first time up, and now this one looks like he's going to get away with something, but Manuel Lee has it pop out of his glove and come straight back down into it. That ball there headed for extra bases.
Tony Pena started the 5-run 3rd with his double into the left field corner. He scored the first of the 5 runs last inning. Now, Mr. Commissioner, will it be 4 cases for every grand slam this year?
Absolutely. I like that. I think they should get something a little extra special for the grand slam. Before this day's over, I may even up that a bit. Opening day grand slam on top of that. If it holds out to be the winning margin in this ball game, I mean, that's worth a little extra, don't you think?
So you're saying Pat
Stand
may
by,
even get
Pat.
an added bonus?
Stand by.
Wow.
John Osborne. John, I hope you're listening. Get those.
The folks at Pepsi, yes, but we hope that they
We'll give away the plant in a minute.
Stieb ahead of Pena, 0-2. Tim Naring is on deck. Stieb is allowed 5 runs, all earned on 4 hits through 3 1/3 innings. He's walked 2 and hit a batter. He has 1 strikeout to his credit. And he's still ahead of Tony. No balls and 2 strikes.
Speaking on rulings of Commissioners League, presidents still have a decision to come up with concerning Jack Clark. You remember we read about this over the wintertime. Jack Clark was suspended for 1 game by National League President Bill White for a disturbance at the end of the season. However, I understand now that case is going to be heard when the Red Sox first visit New York sometime in June, I believe it is. And I don't think they've determined yet whether the suspension can be transferred from one league to the next. So I'm wondering if Clark has to go back to the National League to serve that suspension for 1 day, if he goes back to the National League.
It's a good question.
Maybe it's just a dead issue. I don't know.
Well, by the time they get around to ruling on these things, the player will probably be retired. Pena hanging tough at 0-2. Speaking of New York, the Yankees have opened their season this afternoon at Tiger Stadium in Detroit. After 4 innings, New York leads that game 4-2. Mike Blowers has homered for the Yankees. What an appealing opening day starting pitching battle in that one. Tim Leary earned the start for the Yankees. He was 9-19 last year. And Frank Tanana is the opening day starter for Detroit. They may be battling for the cellar before the year is through. Maybe long before the year is through. That battle could be raging. Cleveland at Kansas City. The Indians lead 1-0 after 1. Greg Swindell and Brett Saberhagen, the starters there. Chicago leads Baltimore 3-1 after 2 in Baltimore. Jack McDowell and Jeff Ballard, the starters. Ballard was 2-11 for the Orioles last year. And tonight, Milwaukee is at Texas. Mark Knudsen against Nolan Ryan. In the 0-2 to Pena. Well hit in right center. Devon White, just in front of the warning track, made the catch. 2 outs in the 4th. The Red Sox lead 5-1. In the National League, only one afternoon game on opening day. Houston leads Cincinnati 1-0 after 3 at Riverfront Stadium. Mike Scott and Tom Browning, the starters. Tonight in the National League, Montreal at Pittsburgh with Dennis Martinez against Cy Young Award winner Doug Drabek. And Philadelphia is at New York. Terry Mulholland for the Phillies, Dwight Gooden for the Mets. Here's Tim Naring, who sacrificed his first time up. A called strike 1.
Questions I had for Joe Morgan today in his office was, how long of a look does Tim Naring get as his shortstop? He said a long one. No need for him to look back over his shoulder after 7, 8, 9, 10 games. He said he will get a long, long look at shortstop. So I would think that that has been said to Tim Naring, and there's no reason for this young man to press in any way. Just go play, have some fun. I think that would have to be one of the most difficult situations for any player, veteran or young player, to go into the field each day and maybe looking over your shoulder and say, well, if I miss one today, am I in there tomorrow? That has to be a tough situation to deal with.
Devon White again on the run. He drifts back to the edge of the warning track. That ball carried well. And the Red Sox go in order in the 4th. After 3.5 in Toronto, it's the Red Sox 5 and the Blue Jays 1.
Baseball isn't always easy or painless or pretty. But with 2 boxes of Kellogg's Frosted Flakes or Kellogg's Raisin Bran, baseball's free. Just clip the vouchers from the box, redeem them for a ticket, and you're in the game. Choose from any of these exciting dates. See package for more details. So don't drop the ball. Catch a free game. But hurry, this offer's going. Kellogg's Frosted Flakes and Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Your ticket to the game.
The Mona Lisa has no eyebrows. Venus de Milo lacks arms. Chickens have no lips. Why ask why? Try Bud Dry. It's cold filtered for smooth draft taste and dry brewed for no aftertaste. So when it comes to refreshment, nothing's missing.
Players. My greater concern is that people like Roger, as in the past Bird, Ray Bork, they get to a point where they're under the conditions of an existing contract and say, no, I want more now. When your time comes to negotiate, get all you can, like Roger just did. I'm all for that. But son of a gun, once you've got it, be quiet until the next opening of the window comes.
Sports Beat, Sunday night at 9, here on TV 38.
As this 1991 season marks the 50th anniversary of Ted Williams hitting .406. And on Sunday, May 12th, the Red Sox will pay tribute to this Hall of Famer, recognizing number 9's glorious career. All fans entering the ballpark will receive a commemorative Ted Williams assemblage folder, compliments of Nissen Baking Company. That's Sunday, May 12th, as the Sox play host to the Texas Rangers. Dial 267-1700 to check on ticket availability.
5-1 Red Sox as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning here at the Sky Dome. John Olerud to lead off against Roger Clemens. Roger had his first 1-2-3 inning last inning. He needed just 5 pitches in the 3rd to retire the Blue Jays in order. Olerud struck out ending the 1st. He stranded 2 base runners. He takes a strike. Rance Mullenix on deck, and then Greg Myers.
Joe Carter was almost obligated to hit with a strike on him in that last inning, Sean. That's far too few pitches to allow Clemens to throw, especially after your pitcher has just come off the field, giving up the 5 runs. You just can't do that. You can't let Clemens have a 5-pitch innings at that point of the ball game.
That's one of the things Roger Clemens talked about early in the spring, that he was going to try this season to reduce his pitch count. He so regularly goes into 120, 130, sometimes even more than that pitch range. He'll be less concerned with trying to strike out every batter, make them put it in play, and try to save some wear and tear on the arm. Quintana, a nice play to Clemens. And that is 6 in a row retired by Roger. 1 out in the Toronto 4th. The Red Sox lead 5-1. If you're just joining us on this opening day, Blue Jays scored first in the 2nd. A leadoff single by Rance Mullenix. A ground rule double by Manuel Lee got him to 3rd, and Mookie Wilson knocked him in with a sacrifice fly. The Red Sox answered with 5 runs in the top of the 3rd, highlighted by Jack Clark's grand slam. Mike Greenwell drove in the other run with an RBI single. Rance Mullenix single to left starting the 2nd, and he scored the only Blue Jay run of the game. Mullenix only appeared last year in 57 games. His lowest game total since 1981, when he appeared in 24 games for the Kansas City Royals. And most of his appearances last year were as a pinch hitter. He only started 20 games.
He's part of a platoon under Jimmy Williams, Garth Orge, and Mullenix holding down that 3rd base spot over there. Of course, that's long gone by the boards now with the years that they expect to get from Gruber.
Carlos will play this one himself. 2 outs.
We're talking about Roger becoming more of a contact pitcher. He needs, or he wants to cut down on his number of pitches. I'm not sure a lot of hitters are going to allow him to do that. His number 1 pitch, of course, is still the high riding type fastball, which leads to a lot of foul balls. He can't control that. He can throw a few more split-fingered fastballs, but then that may leave himself open for being a bit more hittable. Probably would take that, though, as long as they're ground balls.
Greg Myers missed the breaking ball. Strike 1. Blue Jay catcher flied to left his first time up.
Don't hit that breaking pitch there. Clemens, when he first came to the big leagues, displayed quite a sharp and hard curveball. You don't see that pitch much from Roger anymore. Maybe that will figure back into his repertoire a bit more to stay away from the fastballs.
Strike 3. Myers gone quickly, as are the Blue Jays in the 4th. Clemens has now retired 8 in a row. And after 4, the Red Sox still lead 5-1.
Well, my grandfather came to New Hampshire
And then he would do cobble walls. He taught my father how to do it, and my father taught myself and my brothers. Most walls we did were dry walls. There's no cement in them. So it's a matter of very careful placement of one stone beside another stone.
In a place where people build things to last, it's not surprising so many New Englanders have chosen to bank with us.
And it'll always be there.
You watch TV 38 Sports, now you can wear it with Watch and Wear.
91, Heroes of Baseball game at Fenway, game time 1:05. Immediately following at 3:05 p.m., the Red Sox will battle the Texas Rangers. Order your tickets today. Call 617-267-1700.
Cito Gaston looking on from the Toronto dugout. He is a little bit concerned about his bullpen. We talked about Manuel Lee. Will he be able to cut it as the everyday shortstop for the Blue Jays? And out there in the bullpen, they have Tom Hankey, who is getting a little bit older. Dwayne Ward, who was inconsistent last year. They signed Ken Daly, an excellent left-handed reliever, as a free agent from St. Louis in the offseason, but he's been bothered by an inner ear problem, and his status is very much up in the air right now. He's going to be evaluated on a week-to-week basis. There was some fear it might be a situation along the lines of Nick Asaski in his battle with vertigo. Let's certainly hope that it is not, for Ken Daly's sake. It's been a long, very frustrating battle for Nick Asaski. The good news there is he seems to be getting better. Stieb working to Boggs, the top of the order in the fifth for the Red Sox. They are batting with a 5-1 lead.
Getting better, but still started the season on the disabled list, did he not?
Yes, he did.
As did Daly, of course.
Daly's had some dizziness. The only left-hander in the bullpen for Toronto is Al Leiter, and he's trying to bounce back and reestablish himself as a major league pitcher. Boggs 1 for 1 with a single and a walk. He scored on the grand slam by Clark. And the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. Wade to be followed by Jody Reed and Mike Greenwell.
Cito Gaston and the Blue Jays don't have the luxury that the Red Sox have. They don't have the early season off days, so Cito is into a 5-man rotation right away.
Alomar. And Boggs is retired for the first time this season.
After the start by Stieb today, the Red Sox will see Jimmy Key tomorrow, and then Stottlemyre, and then Wells and Boucher will also be in the starting. Bouchette, excuse me, will be in the starting rotation for Gaston. That may be a little more reason for him to have some concern about the bullpen, because he doesn't have one of those good pitchers to take out of that rotation to give him a solid arm out there for some help.
Jody Reed struck out swinging in the first. He walked and scored on the Clark grand slam in the third. 1-0 on Jody. Greg Harris and Jimmy Key, the starters tomorrow night at 7:30. Matt Young, Todd Stottlemyre on Wednesday, also at 7:30. Both of those games on Nesson. Tomorrow night is a change in the original television schedule. We will depart the airwaves of TV 38 to make room for the Boston Bruins as they battle the Hartford Whalers in Game 4 of the Adams Division semifinals. The Bruins with a win last night in Hartford to take a 2-1 lead in that best-of-7 series. We are next with you over most of these stations on Thursday afternoon from Fenway Park for the home opener against the Cleveland Indians. 2-1, the count on Jody Reed. Two and two. Time called. Low and away, and the count is full.
Not only does Steve do some strumming with right-hand hitters, as I mentioned in this league, he collects guitars. About 8 of them he has now, and one from a very famous guitarist out of the group of Rush. If you're familiar with that rock group, I'm more along the country and western group side of music. I had to ask Steve about how popular the group Rush was, and supposedly he has a guitar from Geddy Lee, who was the lead guitarist from Rush. Oh, you're into Rush, are you?
Not in a big way, no. But I am familiar with Geddy Lee. Line foul. But although I am a native Bostonian, I tend to share your interest in country and western music.
I have a reason. What's yours?
I just kind of like it. Another 3-2 pitch. Reed called out on strikes. Second time Jody has struck out. He has been the victim for each of Dave Stieb's 2 strikeouts this afternoon.
Steve needs 41 strikeouts now in his career to reach the 1,600 mark. His strikeouts have come down in the last couple of years, and he's opting for a bit more ground balls. He doesn't walk very many batters, and cutting down on the strikeouts has helped his longevity.
Ball high and tight to Greenwell. That brings Myers out to the mound. Stieb last year pitched the first no-hitter in the history of the Toronto Blue Jays on September 2nd at Cleveland. He no-hit the Indians, and Toronto won the game 3-0. Stieb had previously gone 8 2/3 innings 3 times protecting no-hitters and lost all 3 of them. One of those was a perfect game for 8 2/3 innings in August of '89 against the Yankees when Roberto Kelly broke that up with a double. Stieb finally did chalk up the no-hitter on that Sunday afternoon last season in Cleveland. 1-1 to Greenwell. Mike bounced to first in the first, single to right, driving in the Red Sox first run in the third, and he scored when Clark followed with the grand slam. 5-1 Red Sox in the 5th. Stieb has more wins than any other pitcher in Toronto history, 166. Very high back of second. Alomar takes charge. The Red Sox go in order for the 2nd straight inning. Stieb has now retired 7 in a row. But halfway through the ball game, it's the Red Sox 5 and the Blue Jays 1.
Let's say you're hungry, but you want to stay under 300 calories. You could try gumdrops, all 9 of them. Or try McDonald's new grilled chicken breast sandwich. A grilled chicken breast fillet, ripe tomato, crisp lettuce, and your choice of barbecue sauce, honey mustard, or light mayo on a wheat bun. So when you're hungry but 300 calories is your limit, you could sink your teeth into watercress, several pounds. Or try McDonald's new grilled chicken breast sandwich for a limited time.
Before I bought my first new car, I got my